This review of Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge is a bit late off the mark, but it did take me a while to complete this game fully on hard because I wanted to give you the most thorough and complete review that I could. So to start, I'll give a bit of the backstory of the game before I go into review it based on the graphics, sound, gameplay and longevity. And finally, I'll finish up this video by showing some gameplay with commentary right at the end. As always, there's timestamps in the description in case you want to skip to a certain part. So let's take a look. You start off as a lowly deckhand on this cargo ship. Then it all starts to go wrong as you get boarded by pirates who are after some type of cargo that you're carrying, but you're not quite sure what it is.
We aren't your average raiders, little deckhand. You're tangling with the Guavian Death Gang. Means you should ask yourself, is one piece of cargo really worth it?
So you decide to eject the cargo rather than let it fall into the hands of the space pirates. The cargo then proceeds to drift and crash land onto the planet. Your job is then to find and retrieve the cargo. The only problem is the Guavian Death Gang, the space pirates, are also looking for that very same cargo.
I just transferred the crash site's coordinates. Now, you and I will go out to the Batuu wilds and get those packages back.
You know, the Guavian Death Gang probably didn't just stop looking for the cargo they wanted on the ship. Just saying.
So that's pretty much the gist of the main story. It's pretty straightforward and simple, especially when compared with the other Oculus Quest Star Wars title, Vader Immortal, but it does the job and you do bump into a few familiar friends along the way. So unlike the storyline, which is fairly unremarkable, I was at times wowed by the graphics and the sound. This is the kind of stuff we expect from ILMX Lab. They produced some great audio and visual quality games in the past, which is definitely true for this game. And some of the draw distances they managed to achieve is really quite remarkable, but you'll see some quite heavy foveated rendering in order to cope. So now let's get on to the gameplay. So this game is heavily combat focused. You're going to be doing a lot of shooting, performing some tasks and puzzles with your Omni tool, a 3-in-1 tool. Most of these tasks require opening these crates which are full of credits and weapons and other things that you can use. You can expect even more shooting and combat, finding and collecting things to meet mission objectives, completing a few very minor side quests, the longest of which involves this little sequence where you play a Jedi Padawan and you get to play with your force powers and a lightsaber. And there's more shooting. So if you haven't gathered already, this is a first-person shooter game at heart with a few other elements mixed in. It's also quite linear. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. As first-person shooters go, this is quite a good one. There were some annoying things that happened from time to time, such as small little bugs that cropped up, or one of the most annoying things was trying to pick up weapons. It could be a bit glitchy at times, and sometimes you wouldn't be able to pick up the thing that you wanted, which was a bit annoying, especially in mid-combat. And trying to fumble around with the items in your pouches to try and pick up a grenade or launch a droid could also be a bit frustrating when in a fast-paced blaster shootout with the enemy. But overall, I found the combat to be really enjoyable. The enemies were fairly clever, they took cover, and they were quite challenging, particularly on the hard setting where you would die in 1, 2, sometimes 3 hits without a medikit. The weapons themselves felt very good to handle, and I really liked the map's layout. They usually had plenty of cover, and there would be alternate routes in which you could approach your enemy depending on your strategy. And here's where we get to the weakest point of this game, that's the longevity. I've heard it take people about 3 hours to complete this game all the way through. I set it on hard and it took me about 5 hours, so if you get this game, I do recommend putting it on hard for the extra challenge and to extend the experience out a bit longer. In addition to the main missions, there you have these extra challenges, which don't really extend the game out by too much, and some of them are actually quite dull. For example, this one has you collecting dirty dishes around the cantina and putting them in a tub, which is as easy and as boring as it sounds. There are also other things to do, like play a game of repulsor darts. Or this workshop, where you can spend some of your hard-earned credits on some gloves that look a bit different from one another, or some things that are going to help you in combat, like droids and medical sprays. You'll also find these little collectible droids hidden throughout the levels. But all of this is just extra padding, and it doesn't add much substance to the game. So my overall verdict, if you're looking for a decent, good looking, good sounding, linear first person shooter set in the Star Wars universe, and you don't mind a game that's a bit on the shorter side, then this one is for you. Just don't go into this expecting the big open world Star Wars adventure that you might have been expecting. It's also a little on the shorter side. If you set it on the hard difficulty, you can squeeze a few more hours out of it. Like I say, it took me about 5 hours on the hard difficulty. I'll probably go back, collect those remaining droids, and it'll probably take me up to 6 hours, which is just barely enough for the price you're paying for this game, in my opinion, which, if you're like me, will probably leave you wanting more. But there is some upcoming DLC in the future, which I'm certainly going to buy, as I did enjoy this one, and I look forward to jumping back in with some fresh content.
Alright, that's it for now, but don't worry. I got a few more stories up my sleeve.
Now we're going to take a look at some gameplay with commentary. So I have my droid here, which I'm going to place on my belt. I'll show you that later. This is the heavy blaster pistol, which is my favourite weapon, and we have this other blaster, which is a bit like a shotgun. So this is on hard settings, so I have to be really careful here and take cover, as 1 or 2 hits could kill me. I decide to use my droid at this point for the guy at the top of the staircase, but these droids can be a bit stupid sometimes, and it just flies right past him rather than dealing with him as I thought it would. So I now just have this shotgun, which is too short range to actually reach him at this point. So I want to pick up those enemy rifles on the floor, which are a lot better at long range, but I'd have to leave my cover in order to do that. Then I noticed this heavy droid coming around the corner, and I thought it's pretty much game over at this point, but thankfully the droid I deployed earlier causes a distraction, which saves my skin, but I still can't destroy this heavy droid with a shotgun, as it's just too short range to cause much damage. So I decided to take both blaster rifles, as I feel I'm going to need some heavy firepower here. So now I'm deciding which way to go, left or right. Both alternatives don't look great to me, but then I remember the guy up top, and I'm wondering if there's a way I can get up there to give me a good vantage point. I start hearing a sound like an enemy drone, so I decide to deploy my own drone just in case, and I seem to do it just in the nick of time. My droid has been damaged, and I can go down there and try to fix it, although it's not worth the risk at this point, so I thought I'd press on and fix it once I'd cleared this stage. I'm not sure where the enemy is coming from, so I thought I'd deploy another droid to help find him and distract his attention. So hopefully that's given you a good enough idea of what the combat is like in this game. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to leave it here and leave you with this last little bit of footage without commentary, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, do remember to hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey, if you get caught in heavy fire, use a remote. They'll pull a few blasters off.
Not going to last much longer.